Go birth your beautiful shelf, baby. It's time to begin. It is time to get started. Whatever it is that you want to do, you have these big visions, you have these big ideas, and I feel like you've always had them in some shape or form for your whole life. And recently, like maybe in the last few years, you've gotten to a place where you can start to see how to move towards those goals, how you can start to carve out whatever it is that you are wanting to create. For some of you, it's a business. For some of you, it's a book that you want to write. It's a podcast that you want to start. It's music that you've been wanting to create. And the beautiful thing about the inspiration is that it never stops flowing. So when you're in the idea phase and you're wanting to kind of gather all the components of what it is that you're about to build, like for example, if you're building a shelf, this is a metaphor. If you're building a shelf, you want to have all of the pieces before you start to figure out how to put that shelf together, right? You have all the pieces. That's what you've been gathering this whole time. Oh, that's beautiful. The contrast that you've gone through, the yucky stuff, the hard stuff, even the trauma, like even the deep stuff, things that you have healed from, things that you are still healing from, things that you're alchemizing right now. In all of that is where you found the pieces to build your shelf. Now you have all of the pieces, but you're a little bit stuck in not knowing if this is the right time, or do I really have all of the pieces? Let this be your confirmation that you have all of the pieces. You're ready to build your shelf. Give yourself permission, because if you're waiting for someone else to give you the permission to begin, it isn't going to come. If that's what you've been waiting for, if you've been waiting for someone to call it from you, that's already been happening. That's what that inspiration has been. The inspiration to do what you want to do is in alignment with, law of attraction. We talk about cooperative components. You being a cooperative component to what the broader collective is needing to witness, needing to experience, needing to observe and receive through you. You have agreed to be the vessel of creation. You have agreed to pull this thing through, and it benefits everyone else. So there's a couple of other messages coming through here where you are either, it's two things. It's two things simultaneously. One is that you are feeling a little bit stuck, because when you start, if you have already begun or tried to begin, the energy is so much different from the idea phase. The envisioning of it is so juicy and so raw and so beautiful, and your mind just fantasizes. So when you sit down to actually do the work to bring this in, it feels heavier. It feels a little bit like, it might even feel like not quite right. Like, ooh, I'm doing something wrong. Or as you start to outline your book, you're like, this isn't going the way that it was in my head. This wasn't what I envisioned. This is not feeling the same as my fantasy. The message there for you is that the inspiration is to get you started. It's to get you in the space of, I need to collect all of these pieces to build my shelf. But then understanding that the shelf might turn out to look completely different than you originally envisioned it. So this creation whatever it is, as you sit down to do the work to bring it into reality, it is going to feel different. And that doesn't make it wrong. It means that the creation is big enough that it's going to take on its own form. Being given the sort of metaphor of a pregnancy, like you've had this in the gestational phase for so long, and now you have like this emotional attachment to it, and you have all of these ideas of what the outcome should be, and now it's time to birth. It's time to push it through. It's time to let it be born into its own form, letting it be whatever it's going to be. You are the vessel of inspiration. You are the vessel of creation. But there's a point when you have to let go and let it become what it is. So that initial sitting down to get started to actually like do the work to like bring it into the 3D is uncomfortable. You're taking your visions, you're taking intangible thought forms and grounding them into reality. So it is a denser energy, it is a heavier energy, and it just feels different. So for someone out there, that's been putting you off from getting going. So you need to just sort of power through it. Trust the process. Back to the metaphor of a pregnancy, like it is a little like having a baby. Like when you first feel those like contractions, you're like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. I've been dreaming about this baby for 9 months and this feels terrible. But like that's the process. That's the birthing process of bringing something into the 3D. It is uncomfortable. And the actual pain of it or the suffering of it comes when you fight the discomfort, when you resist the way that it's feeling. It's just part of the process. It doesn't mean anything is wrong. So I feel some practical advice coming in there. If you can create for yourself a little bit of structure. Actually, I feel like this is Stephen King advice. Stephen King talks about inviting the muse, like inviting and you've already had the inspiration, you've already got everything that you need to build your shelf, but you haven't yet created the space for that to come through you to actually like ground that into something practical. So if you can create space, like literally schedule for yourself 20 minutes. So example, writing a book. Sit down for 20 minutes. And if you can do it like on a schedule, that's great. But also you can just kind of have in the back of your mind, I'm going to spend 20 minutes wherever I can working on this, whatever it is. And it's letting it flow through. It's not going to be all great stuff like in the beginning. Like you're going to put that shelf together wrong a couple of times before you're like, oh, this goes here and this goes here. So allowing space for a little bit of exploration, but really what you're doing is getting familiar with the way that energy feels, because this is so different from envisioning and imagining and daydreaming. Letting yourself become familiar with the energy of actually doing. So if you can do that a little bit consistently and trust the process that this is going to help you to like, this is the thing to do now. Like this is the path. This is what we do now. We have everything we need. It's time to move. And trusting the process that just keeps coming so loudly. Trust the process. Recommit to this also is another thing. Recommitting to your vision in a different way, because you have been so inspired, and now it's time to trust that that baby's going to be okay. Like as it leaves your body, as it leaves your mind, like trusting that this is going to become its own thing, and honoring the art, honoring the creation versus honoring your vision. So committing that inspiration came through in the first place because you agreed to be the vessel to pull it through. And now it's time to understand that creation is taking on a life of its own. And now you are no longer serving the vision, you are serving the creation. They're two different things. Detach from the outcome, detach from the idea of this needs to be exactly what I envisioned, because it's going to be so much better. It's going to be so much better than what you ever could have imagined. But you have to let it out. You have to let it through. You have to let it become what it is. Any other messages coming through? Ooh, there's someone held back by what other people think. And maybe you're not even aware of it. Maybe this is like a subconscious belief. There is a bit of like fear of being seen, because this is calling for you to really tap into your juicy, like creative energy, like your power as an individual person. Like this is really calling you to tap into everything that you are. Like it really is going to take everything that you are to bring this out. And you're feeling held back because you don't want people to judge you, and you don't want them to judge the creation. Like it's that emotional attachment is really there. You're like, I don't want people to reject this. I don't want people to take this the wrong way. So feeling like you have to like do it all perfectly, that it has to be just right so that everybody understands what it is and understands where you're coming from. That will just happen. That naturally will just happen, because like we said in the beginning, this is something being called through you. This is, I mean, you're unique and you're special and you're beautiful individual, person. But what you're creating isn't just for you. It is being called through you by a broader collective. You are one extension of so many other people like you, and that's who's calling this through you. So it's not just for you, it's being summoned by hundreds, thousands, millions of people that want this from you, that want to receive the services of your business, that want the wisdom of your words, that want the power of your healing, that want the beauty of your music and your art and whatever you're creating. They want it, they need it. So please let go of the fear of no one's gonna like this. No one's gonna get it, no one's gonna understand, because that's ridiculous. The whole reason that you are inspired to do this is because so many people want it from you. So trust in that, really trust in the attraction of it. Like you are magnetizing the people that are calling this. Ooh, that's so juicy. You are magnetizing the people that are calling this through you. Trusting that spirit will match you up, that you will be able to be found, that the right people with ears to hear and eyes to see will find you and appreciate whatever this is that you're creating. The other aspect is that if you are feeling, for somebody, you've been doing things a little bit differently than you want to do them. You're trying to follow an algorithm. You're trying to play into what's trendy or what's popular or what's widely accepted. If you have a message that is a hot take, people aren't going to get it. It's going to ruffle feathers. It's going to make people upset. Maybe it's even a little bit like inappropriate. Like what even is appropriate? You are here to redefine. You aren't here to do what everyone else has been doing. So don't allow your creation to be muddied up by what you perceive to be other people's expectations of what you're creating. Whoa, I'm just going to take that really personally. I don't know if you needed to hear that, but I needed to hear that. That's the only thing that will keep people from finding you, is if you don't bring this out at all, or if you bring this out in a way that you feel like other people are expecting it to come through. It really needs to be pure. What people are calling through you is the purity is the authenticity. It's the truest expression of whatever this is. So trust that you don't have to play into the algorithm. You don't have to cater to what other people are gonna vibe with. Like, bring it out in its raw form and just know beyond a doubt, like so fucking certain, that everybody who will benefit from this is going to find it. And it's so many more people than you can imagine. You're thinking very small right now, and that's okay. It helps you to keep from being overwhelmed, but you're only thinking in terms of your circle. So if you have people that you're like, my partner isn't going to understand this, or, you know, I want to make this appropriate so my kids can hear it, or my best friend will understand and like vibe with it. Oh, we just cleared something out for someone. It really is time to release that, because that is part of what's preventing you from bringing this out. Don't be afraid for people to see who you are as part of this creation. Also, trust that you are separate from this creation. What you're making doesn't have to be all of everything that you are. Sometimes we feel like, especially when you've been thinking about it and envisioning for a really long time, sometimes we feel like it has to capture everything. It has to capture all of it. This feels like something that is going to keep going. So if it's a book, there might end up being 2 or 3 books as part of this, but you don't know that until you get going, until you start actually doing it. This shelf might turn out to be a whole house. You don't know what you're building until you start building. So the overall message here is that your baby is ready to be born. Your shelf is ready to be built. You are in a different energy now. You are in a higher vibration where you can, higher vibration, but also a higher elevation. You can see more than you were able to see when you first started this. So allowing that vision to expand by way of beginning to go into the creative process. Start birthing. It's time to start birthing. Any other practical advice? Anything else that we have? You are so loved. Oh, you are so loved. Not everybody feels called to do this. Not everybody wants to create in the way that you do. Not everybody wants to make this thing that you're making. And it feels that way. Oh, for someone, you feel like there's no room for you. For somebody, you're like, well, there's a million people doing what I'm doing. Is there really room for me? Oh, baby, yes. Yes, yes, my love. There's so much room for you. Nobody can do this the way that you are doing it. I'm going to stop saying going to do it, because you're not going to do it. Like, I already see you doing this. I already feel you relaxing into the groove of making this happen. You're doing it. You're going to be doing it. You're already doing it. There is nobody nobody can do this the way that you're doing it. No one has the messages the way that you are going to share the messages. No one can make the music the way that you're going to make the music. No one can tell the story the way that you are going to tell the story. No one can create this the way that you have created it. And it doesn't matter who tries. It doesn't matter who, like, there's no such thing as copying. We inspire each other, and there's always more room. The world will have you believe that things are finite, that things are linear, that there's only so much room, there's only so much abundance, there's only so many followers, there's only so many. That's a fucking lie. That's an illusion. It's meant to keep you small. It's meant to keep you afraid to bring yourself out. It's meant to make you feel like there isn't room for you, but it's an illusion. There is infinite room for all of us. Ever expanding. And as you carve your place, as you are working on this, you will be able to see the way forward. You will be able to see how it all fits together. So, I think that's our message for today. I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see what you're making. I can't wait to witness and observe and receive whatever that is, because it's unique, it's special, it's magnificent. We all came here to expand joyfully, to expand into places that have never been explored, to create things that have never been created. So you are of the Creator. You are a vessel of creation yourself. You are in your power, and it's time to just move. It's time to do it. Let it feel good. Release all of your expectations. Trust that that vision is going to come through in an even better way. It's going to be a little uncomfortable at first, and that's okay. Move through it. The discomfort is not a sign that you should stop. The discomfort is a sign that this is happening right now, and you're bringing something intangible into our 3D reality, which is a little bit heavy and it's a little bit dense, but only at first. There's going to be so much joy for you in doing the work and watching how this shifts and how this unfolds. You go to put together your shelf and like, oh my God, that's what that piece is for. I never knew. Like, it's not what I was expecting, but it's beautiful. It's magnificent. So go birth your beautiful shelf, baby. And I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being here. Like, the world is better just because you're in it. The world benefits from your visions, from your daydreaming, from your fantasizing. And now that just grows exponentially, that expands infinitely as you bring this into actual reality. So thank you for doing what you do. I'll see you next time.